Good morning everyone. Welcome to the sixth and last technical session of the webinar series of day 6. Today's technical session is on nutrition during later adulthood, that is above 65 years of age. It's my pleasure to introduce our today's speaker, Dr. Renuka Meti. Dr. Renuka Meti is the chairperson and associate professor of Department of Food Processing and Nutrition at the Karnataka State Akkamadevi Women's University, Vijaypura. She has 25 years of experience as an academician and researcher in the field of nutrition. Her doctoral research was focused on the interactive correlation of food and nutrition security on competitive sport activities. Her primary area of expertise is nutrition during life cycle, therapeutic and sports nutrition. She worked on the in vitro study of physicochemical characteristics, antioxidant efficacy, processing, storage and marketing of jawar. Other than this major one, she is involved in 28 other research projects. As a successful academician and researcher, she has published 30 original research articles in renowned national and international scientific journals. She has presented her research findings as well as cordially invited as a resource person in almost 40 national and international conferences. She has presented a research paper titled Nutrition Knowledge and Practice of High School Kabaddi Players of Dharwad City, Karnataka, India at an international conference held at Amsterdam, Netherlands in the year 2006. She was awarded Best Young Scientist Award by Nutrition Society of India conference, which was held at Kolkata, West Bengal in the year 2006. She has published and edited books and known well for writing popular articles in the Deccan Herald newspaper and for her radio talks on different vital issues related to up-to-date public health nutrition. She is the life member of Association of Women Entrepreneurs of Karnataka, Indian Women Scientists Association, National Association of Physical Education and Sports Sciences, National Institute of Nutrition, and patron to Institute of Naturopathy, Bengeri, Hubli, Karnataka, Managing Committee member in Karnataka Khadi Gramodyoga, Bengeri, Hubli. She has organized special lectures, seminars, webinar series and training cum demonstration on fish and fish products with collaboration with Department of Zoology, Karnataka State Akkamadevi Women's University, Vijaypura. She has extended her hard working not only in the academic and research areas but also in the administrative sector. She acted as a coordinator and technical committee member in different workshops and programs organized at the Karnataka State Akkamadevi Women's University, Vijaypura. I welcome you for this session, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. We have come to the last session of our webinar, and the topic today we are going to discuss is on physiology during later adulthood, that is from 65 years and above. The term elderly belongs to individuals of age 60 and above. So let's know more on aging process. The contents of this seminar is introduction, aging process and physiological changes, socio-emotional development. Aging is the process during which structural and functional changes take place in an organism as a result of passage of time. So the changes marks the decline from peak fertility and physiological functions till death. Now let's see the physiological changes during aging process. Nervous system. There is reduction in the nerve cells, blood flow to the brain and metabolism. Reflexes are delayed and changes in balance is seen, because of which there is increased risk of falling. Sleep pattern is said to be changed. We see many of the neurological disorders occurring as the capacity of the brain to transmit signals and communication reduces. Loss of brain function, which is the biggest fear among elderly people, is seen like dementia, that is loss of memory, and other conditions like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease or stroke are common in this age. So Alzheimer's disease, it is a progressive disorder that causes brain cells to die or degenerate, and we see dementia, that is loss of memory, as one of the symptoms. Whereas Parkinson's disease is a brain disorder that leads to shaking, stiffness, and difficulty in coordination like walking and balancing. Now, coming to cognitive changes, the long-term memory is decreased with overall decrease in intellectual functioning. This impaired cognition is associated with increased risk of injuries to self or others, reduced functional daily activities, and increased risk of mortality. Changes in musculoskeletal system. There is decrease in bone and muscle mass and increase in adiposity. So, reduced muscle mass and muscle strength leads to risk of fractures, reduces quality of life and loss of independence. So we can see here that the bones become fragile or weak, leading to fracture of hip joint, wrist joint, etc. as bone loses calcium. And due to shrinkage of space between the spine, that is backbone, height is gradually lost. And in muscles, it reduces in size, leading to weight loss. Tendons lose their elasticity, leading to loss of strength, weakness, tiredness, more prone to falls, etc. Body composition. Body weight tends to increase with aging, whereas height is decreased. Body fat increases with age due to increased caloric intake, decreased physical activity, and reduced movements. So, exercise is very important in managing body composition in elderly. Obesity. Obesity is common among elderly people. It causes major health risks for old people as it can increase chances for heart problem, diabetes, joint problems, respiratory problems, and depression. Now coming to the changes in special senses, vision, we see decline in accommodation, low contrast activity, color discrimination, etc., which affect reading, balancing, and driving. So, just we will have a glance on the types of vision lost here. Glaucoma, it is a disease of optic nerve. If it is not treated, it may lead to blindness. Cataract, which causes blurring of vision. Macular degeneration, loss of central vision that causes difficulty in reading and recognizing faces. Then diabetic retinopathy, which causes blurring and patchiness in vision. Next, hearing. Aging causes conductive and sensory hearing loss, especially for high tones. So, conductive hearing loss may be because of abnormality in eardrum, blockage, or any infection, whereas the sensory hearing loss may be due to genetic causes or environmental causes like viruses. So, most of the changes in hearing is due to exposure to loud noise over time that damages the ability to hear. High-pitched sounds becomes more difficult. Earwax interferes with hearing as it tends to accumulate more. Also, we observe thick hairs growing out of ears, mouth and nose. Ability to taste and smell diminishes gradually. Taste buds on tongue decreases. Ability to smell reduces due to lining of nose which becomes thin and dry, and also the nerve ending deteriorates. Gum recedes slightly. Teeth loss can occur. Thick hairs may grow in nose and on upper lip and chin. Smell. Olfactory function declines. There is reduced ability to smell that can lead to significant impairment of quality of life. So, aging causes atrophy of nerves in olfactory bulb. As we age, our sense of touch often declines due to skin changes and reduced blood circulation, and minor dietary deficiency can also be a cause of this change. So, decline in sense of touch affects simple motor skills, hand grip, strength, and balance. Skin changes. Pigmentation changes, decrease in eccrine, that is sweat glands, and sebaceous glands, due to which skin becomes dry. There is decrease in number of blood vessels, loss of elasticity due to which wrinkles occur. Adipose tissue redistributes to waist and hips. Now coming to age associated pulmonary changes. There is decreased efficiency of lungs leading to respiratory failure. decreased muscle strength, which causes poor cough and infection, de- destruction of alveolar septum and dilated upper airways, which leads to reduced gaseous exchange, damage to bronchioles that can lead to air trapping. Cardiovascular changes. Walls of arteries in heart gets thickened, enlargement of heart is seen, hardening of valves leads to reduced pulse rate and cold extremities, blood pressure, fatigueness, etc. Gastrointestinal changes. There is decrease in strength of muscles of mastication, that is chewing, the process of chewing, reduced taste and thirst perception, which may have risk of malabsorption, electrolyte imbalance, and poor nutrition. Decreased gastric movement with delay in emptying shows increased risk of maldigestion induced ulcers. Colons, that is intestines contraction becomes less effective and there is impaired sensation to defecate causing constipation. Liver size and blood flow is reduced which leads to decreased metabolism. Kidney changes. As percentage of body water is reduced, less water is present in kidneys, leading to risk for fluid and electrolyte imbalance. There is 50% reduction in blood flow through kidney, causing decreased ability to concentrate urine and electrolyte imbalances. And also we see that due to decreased oral intake, they tend to have risk for dehydration. There is increased risk of urinary incontinence due to reduced elasticity of bladder, loss of sphincter tone, and poor bladder control. And also we see that shortened urethra in some women may have increased risk of urinary tract infection. And in men, prostatic hyperplasia, that is prostatic enlargement, may interfere with urine flow. Changes in the reproductive system. In male, there is reduction in sperm count and prostatic enlargement. And in females, there is atrophy and estrogen depletion. So in female reproductive system, we see that the supporting muscles of reproductive organs are weakened, which leads to risk of uterus prolapse. Breast tissue diminishes, libido, that is sexual desire, remains unchanged. Whereas in male reproductive system, prostate gland enlarges, sperm count and viscosity of seminal fluid decreases, libido remains unchanged. Endocrine changes. There is impaired glucose homeostasis, which may lead to diabetes, reduced thyroxine, which causes thyroid dysfunction. There is increase in ADH, that is antidiuretic hormone, which tells the kidneys how much water to conserve. So this may lead to metabolic abnormalities. As there is increase in ADH, it may lead to some of the metabolic abnormalities. Reduced testosterone production, which may cause impotency. Reduced vitamin D absorption and activity is seen, which may lead to osteopenia and fractures. Blood production. Blood cells produced by bone marrow decreases. Usually, we see that bone marrow produces enough blood cells throughout our life. But in case if there is any problem like anemia, infection, or bleeding, where there is greater need for blood cells, then the bone marrow can't produce increased blood cells in response to the body's needs. Socio-emotional development in late adulthood. As people age, they become more dependent on others. Many other adults contend with feelings of loneliness and isolation as their loved ones pass away, which can have negative impact on their health and well-being. And according to Erickson, the final stage of life is marked by crisis over integrity versus despair. That is, looking back over one's life and accepting its meaning, and people who had positive impact feel a sense of integrity, and those who couldn't measure up to certain standards develop a sense of despair. So, we have seen how the aging process changes in an individual by knowing the physiological and some of its effects in different systems of the body and socio-emotional changes in late adulthood. Despite our personal busy schedules, it is our responsible to make sure that our loved ones are safe, secure, healthy, and getting the attention they need. So, take care of those who once cared for us when we were young. Even one day, we are going to get older. With this, I conclude my today's session. Thank you so much for your interest and attention. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Ms. Jennifer Saulam, Dr. Renuka Meti ma'am, and the organizing committee for inviting me as a guest speaker to this online webinar. So, my congratulations to you all for organizing an outstanding national webinar on the occasion of National Nutrition Week 2020. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Dr. Josephine, for talking on physiology during later adulthood. Now I request Dr. Renuka Meti to talk on nutrition during later adulthood.
Thank you, Jenny, for your kind introduction. So, today we have come to the last day of celebration of National Nutrition Week. So, I am dealing with the nutrition for elderly persons. Aging scenario in India. There has been a steady rise in the population of older persons in India. The number of older persons has increased from 76 millions in 2001 to 103.8 millions in 2011. The projection indicates that the number of 60 plus in India will increase to 116.10 millions in 2016, which has already occurred, 143.20 millions in 2021, and projected is 173.2 millions in 2026. So, major challenge is general improvement in the healthcare facilities over the years is one of the main reasons for continuing increase in population of senior citizens. Ensuring that they not merely live longer but lead a secure, dignified and productive life is a major challenge for old people. Aging has a major social challenge as the traditional norms and values of the Indian society laid stress on showing respect and providing care for the aged. However, in recent times, society is witnessing a gradual but definite withering of the joint family system, as a result of which a large number of parents are being neglected by their families, exposing to lack of emotional, physical and financial support. These older persons are facing a lot of problems in the absence of adequate social security. So, this clearly reveals that aging has become a major social challenge and there is need to provide for the economic and health of needs of the elderly and to create a social milieu which is conducive and sensitive to emotional needs of the elderly. So, main features of elderly population in India. The profile of the elderly population indicates that a majority of them are in rural areas. Feminization of the elderly population, increase in the number of old persons above 80 years, then a large percentage, that is more than 30% of the elderly are below the poverty line. Definition of the elderly, a complex process for living organisms. During the process of aging, the human body accumulates damage at the molecular, cellular and organ levels, which results in diminished or dysregulated function and increased risk of disease and death. Old age is a privilege, social success and also a challenge. Old age is a process which starts from the prenatal period and continues until the end of life. Old age is not a disease but a biological process that no one can avoid. These are the changes of autonomic structure and physiological functions which takes place depending on time. So, World Health Organization defines old age 65 and above as old age. According to the progress of the old age and changes in body's function, people between the age group are classified as 65 to 74 young olds, 75 to 84 old, 85 and above are oldest old. The changes in aging body, sensory changes, physical changes, oral health changes, gastrointestinal, renal function, neurological changes, pressure ulcer changes, hearing and eyesight, immune function changes. So, this is the graphical representation gives the percentage changes in body composition with age. So, as the age increases, there is a change in fat and muscles. whereas the body's other nutrients remain almost the composition same. Then going to what are the characteristics of aging? Increased mortality with increasing age after maturation, change in the biochemical composition of tissues with increasing age, progressive decrease in physiological capacity with increasing age, reduced ability to respond adaptively to environmental stimuli with increasing age, increased susceptibility to disease with increasing age. So, changes associated with the aging is usually coined as physiological changes and socio-psychological changes. Let us see physiological changes as Madam Doctor, she has dealt in detail about the growth and development and changes that takes place during old age. So, let me just go through. Physiological changes are nothing but loss of teeth, decreased neuromuscular coordination, impaired hearing and failing vision, then diminished sense of taste and smell, anorexia, physical discomfort, change in body composition, change in gastrointestinal tract, change in cardiovascular system, change in respiratory function, change in renal function, change in skeletal tissue. Okay, socio-psychological changes like food habits, economic aspects and loneliness, then lack of nutrition knowledge, depression, anxiety, then loss of self-esteem and loss of independence. All these changes takes place. You can say set of changes usually happens only during old age. So, naturally the importance of nutrition and diet plays a significant role to manage the old age. Coming to the energy requirement. So, energy requirement reduces as the basal metabolic rate also reduces to 15 to 20%. So, due to reduced muscle mass and other metabolically active tissue mass. So, then there is a reduced physical activity and increase in fatty tissue. So, naturally all the old age people should consume less than 2000 kilocalories per day. Coming to the carbohydrate, so the requirement of carbohydrate reduces due to reduced in the of course BMR, then impaired glucose intolerance can also lead to hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia and type 2 diabetes mellitus. Insulin sensitivity can be enhanced by balancing energy intake, weight management and regular physical activity. 50% of energy should derive from the carbohydrate. Again from this carbohydrate the 50% should come from the refined, another 50% from the complex carbohydrate. Complex carbohydrates which gives a good amount of fiber, whereas refined carbohydrates which facilitates the digestion process during old age. Coming to the protein, decreased skeletal tissue mass, decrease in store of protein is inadequate to meet the need of protein synthesis. Intake of 1 gram per kg is safe during old age. Protein rich foods with milk and curd should be included. Due to decreased appetite and poor digestion, old people consume less protein which may lead to edema, anemia and low resistance to infections. Coming to the lipids, so dementia and cardiovascular diseases may share the risk factors like high intake of dietary total fat. Emphasis should be placed on reducing the intake of saturated fat and choosing monosaturated and polyunsaturated fatty sources. So, sufficient intake of omega-3 fatty acids help in visual acuity, hair loss, tissue inflammation, improper digestion, poor kidney function and mental depression. Coming to the minerals, 3 minerals are very important during old age, that is calcium, iron and zinc. So, calcium per day 800 milligram to 1000 milligram on daily basis must be consumed by the old people. To compensate age related bone mass, to improve calcium balance and to decrease prevalence of fracture. Calcium absorption efficiency decreases, vitamin D level decreases, so need more amount of calcium. Total food consumption decreases, so calcium supplements are needed definitely during old age people. Coming to the iron, so iron requirement per day is about 30 milligrams per day. Deficiency is seen in elderly due to inadequate iron intake. Blood loss due to chronic disease is reduced or reduced non-heme iron absorption. Vitamin C deficiency also reduces iron absorption. So, mild anemia affect the health due to less efficient circulation of blood. Coming to the zinc, very important nutrient. So, some features like delayed wound healing, decreased taste sensitivity and anorexia are associated with the zinc deficiency, but healthy elderly usually do not show any zinc deficiency. Coming to the vitamins, so we have fat soluble vitamins and water soluble vitamins. Fat soluble vitamins are categorized as a vitamin A, D, E, K, which are stored in the body abundantly. Once if it is taken in a mega dose, they can be stored in the body, whereas B complex vitamins are not stored in the body, they have to be replenished on daily basis. So, elderly are at risk of vitamin D deficiency due to decreased exposure to sunlight or decrease in renal mass. Then dietary supplements with calcium and vitamin D improves bone density and prevent fractures. People with Parkinson disease have low vitamin D levels. Stress, smoking and medication can increase the vitamin C requirement during old age. The antioxidant vitamins such as vitamin E, carotenoids and vitamin C enhances health of elderly. And vitamin C may be protective against cataract at an intake level of 150 to 250 milligram per day. Nowadays even 500 mg per day is given to old age people. Vitamin E is potent nutrient for reducing decline in cellular immunity that occur in elderly. So, changes in immune system can be overcome by taking 200 mg of vitamin E. Requirement of vitamin B6 increased due to atrophic gastritis interferes with the absorption. So, alcoholic and liver dysfunction are additional risk factor for deficiency of vitamin B6. Vitamin B6 have significant role in immune system. Alcoholism is a major factor for folate deficiency. Severe deficiency of folic acid may result in anemia, severe deficiency of folic acid may result in anemia and elevated serum homocysteine level, which is a risk for cardiac diseases. Consumption of folate rich food is needed. So, usually folic acid is present in all dark green leafy vegetables and nuts. Causes of vitamin B12 deficiency are atrophic and bacterial overgrowth, so which decreases absorption and leads to pernicious anemia. So, you can say all these three, especially vitamin B12, folic acid and iron, which are related to blood components, blood nutrients, there should not be any deficiency of these, especially during old age. So, if there is a deficiency of iron, vitamin B12 and folic acid directly, that will affect the blood circulation and to cardiovascular diseases. So, vitamin B12, whenever the vegetarians, they may not get the vitamin B12 because vitamin B12 is not present in the vegetarian food. So, vitamin B12 is available only from the non-vegetarian food. So, vegetarians usually during the old age must go for vitamin B12 supplementations. Coming to the modifications of diet during old age. So, dietary modifications and the reason for the modifications. Foods must be soft, easily chewable because the problems of dentition, fallen teeth or dentures. Foods should be easily digestible because decreased production of digestive enzymes. Restricted fat in the diet, inclusion of PUFA because susceptible to heart disease. Foods should be rich in fiber, should be given to prevent constipation and to reduce cholesterol level and also to prevent colon cancer. Coffee, tea and cola beverages must be restricted, may result in insomnia due to overstimulation. Insomnia means lack of sleep. Foods rich in calcium like milk should be given to compensate the bone loss and reduce the incidence of osteoporosis. Green leafy vegetables can be given liberally because they are the sources of nutrients like carotene, calcium, iron, riboflavin, folic acid and vitamin C. Besides supplying fiber, they are also rich source of antioxidants. Foods of the elderly should consist of familiar foods. Unfamiliar or changes in the food pattern may lead to psychological problems like depression. New foods are difficult to accept by the old people. Clear soup at the beginning of meal which aids in digestion. Small and frequent meals instead of 3 heavy meals should be encouraged, which favors more complete digestion and free from distress. A glass of hot milk just before going to bed should usually may induce good sleep. Heavy meal at noon and light in the evening meal, which improves the sleep, is less likely to be disturbed. Too many sweets with lot of fats and sugar should be avoided. Too much of sugar may cause fermentation, discomfort due to indigestion, and cause toothache and may increase cholesterol level. So that may lead to again obesity. Plenty of fluid should be administered to prevent the constipation and dehydration. Then consumption of flaxseed 40 grams per day encouraged, which decreases the hot flushes in postmenopausal women. So coming to now the dietary guidelines for the elderly people. So empty calorie foods or calorie foods should be taken minimum, and calorie dense foods should be avoided. So foods rich in protein, vitamins and minerals should be included. Vegetables and fruits are good sources of antioxidants. A minimum of 5 servings should be taken, because when we talk of the vitamins and minerals, so abundantly they are present in our vegetables and fruits which are growing around us. Okay, especially in Karnataka, in North Karnataka, we grow a lot of fruits and vegetables. We also grow a lot of nuts and oil seeds. We also grow a lot of cereals and millets, which where in other parts of the country they do not grow. So whatever the foods we grow locally must be consumed on regular basis. Fat promotes weight gain, so mainly saturated fat should be limited. Soft, well cooked foods are preferred. Food should be less spicy and salty. More spicy, that may leads to the irritation of the mucosal membrane. Then fried and concentrated foods should be avoided, because that may delay the digestion. They may suffer from discomfort. Then caffeine containing beverages should be limited, otherwise they may suffer from insomnia. Sometimes they also suffer from the ulcers problem. Then high fiber diet including greens and whole grains are to be included in the diet. High fiber, especially from the soluble fiber, should be included from the green leafy vegetables and fruits. Insoluble fiber, like which is present in the whole grains and whole legumes, should be avoided, because that may irritate the mucosal lining. Then plenty of fluids and semi-solid foods should be taken. Then 2 to 3 serving of low fat milk should be included in the diet to get the adequate amount of calcium. Consumption of omega-3 fatty acids may help in reducing hair loss, impairment of vision, improper digestion and tissue inflammation. Omega-3 fatty acids are present in the fish and fish byproducts, and also only the vegetable source of omega-3 is a flaxseed. So consuming the flaxseed chutney powder, usually we North Karnataka people prepare that and have it. Have this chutney powder on regular basis to have this omega-3 fatty acids, which protects the heart. Coming to the non-communicable diseases, usually the old age people suffer from. So what are these non-communicable diseases? Like malnutrition, then cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, cancer, then neurological dysfunction. So non-communicable diseases incidence increased from 1996 30% to 55% in 2016, almost you can say the double. Then death rate increased from 1990 37% to 61% in 2016, again that is also can say doubled. So these are all the osteoporosis, obesity, neurological dysfunction, malnutrition and constipation are all the non-communicable diseases which are increasing more in India, especially more among the older people. Coming to the osteoporosis, wherein majority 99% of the old people suffer from the incidence of osteoporosis. So osteoporosis is defined as low bone mass and microarchitectural deterioration of bone tissue leading to enhanced bone fragility and a consequent increase in fracture risk. So, even there is a little jerk during old age also, especially we commonly hear in the washrooms, in the toilets and all bathrooms while having bath. There is a little jerk and they fall and there will be a fracture, permanent fracture. From that they never overcome. So, usually because the bones have become fragile and they have become very weak. So, little jerk also that may lead to the fractures. So, what are the various risk factors? Risk factors are like, you can say sedentary lifestyle, low body weight, cigarette and excessive alcohol use, low calcium intake and malnutrition, estrogen deficiency among women, immobility, low sun exposure, medications like immunosuppressant, diuretics, cancer, chemotherapy. Added risk factors are advanced age, alcoholism, chronic steroid use, female gender, rheumatoid arthritis, surgical removal of ovaries and testes, thin body structure and white rays. So, few more two risk factors are vitamin D deficiency, chronic thyroid hormone use, diabetes type 1, early menopause, excessive antacid use, family history of osteoporosis, low calcium diet, sedentary lifestyle, excess intake of coffee, high fiber diet, lactose intolerance, all will lead to the development of the osteoporosis. The reason may be one or two or varied. So, only one should know why we have developed the osteoporosis. Then once the osteoporosis is developed, there is no going back. It is an irreversible process. So, the person should manage with the osteoporosis. So, estrogen therapy in postmenopausal women has been shown to slow the rate of bone loss. So, estrogen therapy can be administered. Then teriparatide, a synthetic form of parathyroid hormone. This is also, it is the newest research you can say, and very good results are seen in the formation of new bone formation. Then vitamin D or exposing to sunlight in the morning also is very good for osteoporotic bone, and ensuring additional intake of 800 milligram to 1000 milligram per day the calcium. Then drinking 2 to 3 glasses of skimmed milk. Plant-based estrogens and phytoestrogens are used to treat during menopause. So, plant-based estrogen, phytoestrogens are exclusively present in the soybean. So, soybean can be encouraged by the old people to consume in many forms. Then physical activity. Physical activity is very important to regain, to improve the or to prevent the bone fragility. Coming to the obesity, this is another non-communicable disease which is commonly seen among old people. Some of the elderly are obese because their consumption of calories has not decreased, though there is a steady decrease in the calories requirement. Decreasing basal metabolic rate and sedentary lifestyle may contributing factors. Obese are susceptible to degenerative diseases and mortality rate may be higher among old age people. Maintaining weight promotes healthier aging and prolongs lifespan. Period. Coming to the neurological dysfunction, especially during Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Epidemiologic findings suggest that high calorie diets and folic acid deficiency increases the risk for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Elderly who work or exercise regularly are less likely to experience memory loss or other declines in mental function that can come with aging. Then another important non-communicable disease during old age is malnutrition, deficiency of one or two nutrients. The important causes of malnutrition during old age are poverty, inability to move around easily, cumulative effects of chronic diseases necessitating multiple medications, social isolation and lack of knowledge for adequate preparations of meal. Then the studies conducted by NI and National Institute of Nutrition showed that the average daily intake of majority of nutrients such as calcium, iron, vitamin A, thiamine, riboflavin and vitamin C were below the recommended levels as evidenced by the low levels of consumption of protective foods during the old age. Coming to another important problem associated with the old age is constipation. In the elderly, it may be related to inadequate energy intake, fewer meals per day, depression and sedentary lifestyle. constipation can be prevented by eating regular meals, drink plenty of fluid and doing daily exercises. One should respond to the urge to move bowel and avoid straining, and by adding fiber to diet, constipation can be prevented with the consumption of a lot of green leafy vegetables and soluble fibers and mucilaginous fibers. So, constipation can be prevented. Those who have a little bit problem associated with the constipation, so some natural synthetic purgatives are available. So, those purgatives can be taken not on regular basis, but once in a while to clean the bowel system. Then coming to the tips on active and healthy aging, they are very important for all the old age people. So, they should undergo regular health checkups after the age of 40, then interact with your family doctor who may prescribe appropriate test, allay fears and suggest medications if needed. Stay involved in cultural, spiritual, financial and civil affairs. Secure yourself financially. This is a very important factor during old age, because most of the time when we are financially sound, we may face any challenge that comes on our way. If we are not financially secured, then naturally most of the problems are stressed out and we may suffer from a lot of diseases. We welcome the diseases. So, one should be financially sound and independent. Tobacco chewing and smoking should be avoided. Participate in family life and including children's problems and spend time with them doing things that both can enjoy. Being together with the family or meeting them once in a while and sharing in their day-to-day life and giving some suggestions is always most welcome by the old age people. A caring companion can be there for you emotionally and in times of need. Know that disasters and emergencies severely impact older people. So, always you make yourself prepare for the disasters and emergencies. Keep mentally ready for all the challenges that come onto your age. So, to meet these disasters and emergency, one should be having a financially sound. Then pursue your interest in order to broaden your agenda, so that you will not feel loneliness, you will not feel you are left out. Then you do not know how time goes. So, try to inculcate yourself involve into a good interest in whichever field you are interested, maybe gardening, maybe reading, maybe listening to music, maybe interacting with some people, something like that which you really enjoy doing. That interest you try to develop. Challenge the body and mind by learning new things. This is very important, especially during old age, because sometimes what happens, once they retired, they feel yes, we are retired now, so it's the end of our life. It's not like that, because every day is living, every day is life, every day you have to enjoy. So, challenge the body and mind. When you challenge your body and mind, definitely we live longer. By doing word puzzles and crosswords and Sudoku, so many other things, depends upon whatever the in physical field you are available with you. So, you have to be active. Do not give importance to gossip and surround yourself with positive, energetic people. So, don't have that negative, because that will have a negativity around you. So, make yourself that your friends are good, they always talk of the positive, talk of the present thing. So, be always keep your mind healthy and make some friends who are younger, even if by a few decades. That's very important, because the elder person's knowledge and younger's motivation always goes well. So, this I can say by quoting our honorable Prime Minister, His Highness respected Modi sir, and his very close friend associated Amit Shah sir. Amit Shah sir and Prime Minister's age is almost, he is somewhere in 70s and Amit Shah sir is in 50s, but a very good combination towards the development of our nation. Likewise, even in our life also. So, the old age backed by the new generation young, so that we can take forward ourselves. So, here I would like to show you one small clipping of our sports legendary Mika Singh, how he talks of the fitness, how important and for keeping a healthy life.
फिटनेस का बच्चे, मेरा फिटनेस का राज ये है कि मैं ज़बान पे कंट्रोल रखता हूँ, कम खाता हूँ। अब 90 के आसपास जा रहा हूँ मैं। ये है कि अब यहाँ से थक गया हूँ, क्योंकि मैं गया था वहाँ पे, औरंगाबाद गया था, वहाँ से वो फंक्शन भुगताया, रात को फ्लाइट पकड़ी, यहाँ पहुँचा, 11-12-1 बजे रात को सोया, फिर सुबह उठ गया। तो मैं अब थका हुआ जाऊँगा, जाते ही चंडीगढ़ के अंदर ट्रैक सूट पहुँचूँगा, पहनूँगा और जॉगिंग के लिए निकल जाऊँगा, जॉग करूँगा। और आप हैरान होंगे ये बात सुन के, इस एज के अंदर मैं अभी तक किसी डॉक्टर के पास नहीं गया। उसकी वजह ये है कि अगर मेरे सिर दर्द होती है, बैक एक होती है, स्टमक एक होती है, तो मेरी मिसेस कहती है सरदार जी ये गोली खा लो, सिर दर्द ठीक हो जाएगी। मैंने कहा मैडम सिरहाने रख दो, मैं देख लूँगा। मगर सुबह वो गोली वहीं पड़ी होती है। सुबह मिल्खा सिंह ट्रैक सूट पहन के जॉगिंग के लिए निकल गया। तो जॉगिंग करने से, वॉक करने से, तेज वॉक करने से जो ब्लड है आपकी बॉडी के अंदर सर्कुलेट करता है और उससे सारी बीमारी आपकी दूर हो जाती है।
सेल्फ हीलिंग
से बिल्कुल। और अगर ये काम नहीं करोगे तो जिस दिन आप चारपाई पे पड़ गए आपको कोई नहीं पूछेगा। ये दुनिया जो है फिटनेस की है, जितने लोग यहाँ बैठे हैं फिट हैं तभी यहाँ बैठे हैं। जिस दिन चारपाई पे पड़ गए, एक मिनट के लिए कोई जाएगा, अच्छा जी आई एम सॉरी यार आप बीमार पड़े हैं, थैंक यू, उसके बाद थैंक यू किसके पास टाइम है। तो अगर आप फिट हैं तो फिजिकल फिटनेस के सारे नज़ारे हैं, अदरवाइज कोई नहीं।
Thank you very much. So the secret to living well and longer is eat half, walk double, laugh triple and love without measure. So this is the real secret for old people to keep yourself always healthy and live longer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Josephine, for talking to us on the physiology during later adulthood. And thank you, Dr. Renuka Meti, for your valuable ideas and knowledge in covering the broad aspects of nutrition during later adulthood and how they can increase their immunity during this pandemic situation. It was a very useful and informative talk, ma'am. This ends today's technical session. Thank you, dear participants, for listening to us. Now let's move on to the valedictory function of the webinar series. It's my honor to request Professor P.G. Thadsath, Registrar Evaluation, Karnataka State Akkamadevi Women's University, Vijaypura, to deliver the valedictory remarks.
A very good afternoon to everyone. A respected Chairperson of the Department of Food Processing and Nutrition of Karnataka State Akkamadevi Women's University, Dr. Renuka Meti ji, Program Coordinator of the webinar, Ms. Jennifer Solan, all the faculty members of the Department of Food Processing and Nutrition, all those who have joined this webinar from different parts of the state, country and also from other countries. The Department of Food Processing and Nutrition has quite aptly organized a relevant webinar, national level webinar on the occasion of National Nutrition Week on the theme Nutrition for All Ages during COVID-19 pandemic. It was well thought of because before Shivratri, none of us were predicting that we could one day face such a chaotic condition in the country or in the whole world. Shivratri gave some hints that something is going wrong and India may have to face some problems. That's the fag end of February. March was going ahead, all the Hindus were getting ready to celebrate their new year, and suddenly a shocking news came. The whole country went into the lockdown after the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji announced nationwide lockdown, giving certain justifications and all that. There were rumors about how the corona pandemic spreads and all that, how to keep us healthy, wealthy and fit. Social media and other media started playing their own role, how to keep ourselves fit, what to eat, what not to eat, what to drink. So many thoughts were just pouring in our WhatsApp or Facebook or Twitter accounts and all that. Though many health professionals, whether they are allopathic or Ayurvedic or homeopathic, none of us listened to their advices. We all started listening to the here and then say. We wanted to eat whatever the others say and how they remain fit and all that. One factor was clear about corona pandemic, that it is a pandemic disease. But if our immune system is very strong, we can come out of that disease. There was a need to keep ourselves warm, and all of us suddenly started keeping ourselves warm in our own ways without knowing what damages it could cause. In the meantime, the Muslims also celebrated 1 month Roza during this period only. They proved that though they can fast for the whole day, having some nutritional food that can overcome certain problems. As the days moved in, the unlock has started down. The result was COVID started spreading enormously. Once again highlighting the fact about the nutritional foods, that what should be consumed, what should not be consumed and all that, as it all started raining in the whole country. And the whole country had to face two problems. One is heavy rains and the other one is corona pandemic. And many of us of different ages, of different natures, at different stages, need to keep us fit, fine, healthy and wealthy. There is a complete unawareness among us, including me. We know which one keeps us warm, we know what not to eat and all that, but still fear was there. Hence, the department has aptly undertaken this webinar to spread the messages of what exactly the nutritional foods mean, how people of different ages can keep their fitness or healthy, their body healthy by having nutritional foods of different age groups. As many as 660 have enrolled themselves for this webinar, and I am surprised to see that more than 20 are from other countries. This is quite a positive message that we are sending. The department has taken a decision by inviting experts in different fields, whether it is pregnancy related issues or children related issues, or the issues related to geriatric patients, or the issues related to the patients with heart problems and or diabetics and all that. Bhagavad Gita says clearly that there are three different kinds of foods: Sattvika, Rajasa and Tamasa. It does not say which one to eat, which not to eat. It says according to the nature and functions that one individual performs, the food needs to be consumed. Lord Krishna says that any food has to be consumed within 3 hours of its preparations. Many of us are prescribing, many of the doctors, health professionals, nutritional experts are all saying on the same lines. Just not consuming the nutritional foods is enough. It requires mental exercises, it requires physical exercises along with having nutritional food. If we just consume the nutritional food and if we are totally disturbed, or if we do not undertake any physical exercises, again our health is going to be imbalanced. So, there are 3 factors which are associated with it. One is our mental ability, how to keep ourselves fit, how to keep our body fit, and accordingly what should be consumed. So, these are the factors that need to be considered in maintaining oneself a healthy and fit one. If I am healthy, the whole family will be healthy. Leads to the entire colony or the community, healthy community leads to a healthy nation. We know that there is no medicine as such for the disease. There are medicines for the symptoms, not for the virus. The only way is we have to stay home, but now unlock process has begun, we have to come out of that, come out whenever it is required, stay safe, stay at distance, have nutritious food, do lots of exercises, keep your mental peace. With this, I thank the organizers for having invited me to deliver the valedictory address on this occasion, and I am sure it sends a right message to all those who have enrolled for this webinar. You are just not listeners of this webinar, you just not watchers of this webinar. You have to spread this message to your local community. Whatever has been taught to you during this period, in these 7 days, whatever lectures have been delivered, whatever the ideas that you have got, it is your responsibility to spread it across your community. It is your responsibility. You are an ambassador to spread the messages that you have received in this webinar, so that you have an equal role. You have an equal role in maintaining the community's health at large and the nation's health. Thank you very much, organizers, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir, for such a remarkable valedictory speech of this webinar series. It's always a pleasure to hear your speeches, sir. I once again thank you wholeheartedly, sir. Last but not the least part of this webinar is proposing vote of thanks. I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks on behalf of Karnataka State Akkamadevi Women's University, Vijaypura, Department of Food Processing and Nutrition, and on my personal behalf. Firstly, I would like to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Omkar Gowda Kakde, Karnataka State Akkamadevi Women's University, Vijaypura, Professor R. Sunandamma, Registrar, Professor P.G. Tadsad, Registrar Evaluation, Professor Vijaya B. Korishetty, Finance Officer, for encouraging and giving us this opportunity to organize this event. Thank you all. I would like to thank all our eminent speakers, namely Dr. Sheila Siddharam, Director, Anna Nutrition Information and Research Center, Kalburgi, Dr. Lakshmi Telur, Tutor and PhD Scholar in the Department of Community Medicine, BLD, Shri B.M. Patil Medical College, Hospital and Research Center, Vijaypura, Professor G. Saraswati, retired professor, Department of Studies in Food Science and Nutrition, University of Mysore, Manasa Gangotri, Mysore. Dr. Uma N. Kulkarni, Professor of Food Science and Nutrition, College of Community Sciences, University of Agriculture Sciences, Dharwad. Dr. Bhuvaneshwari, Senior Registered Dietitian at KLE Suchirayu HCG Hospital, Hubli. Dr. Renuka Meti, Associate Professor, Department of Food Processing and Nutrition, Karnataka State Akkamahadevi Women's University, Vijaypura. Dr. Saulam Josephine Angel, MD in Homeopathy Materia Medica, Bhartesh Homeopathic Medical College and Hospital, Belgaum, for their valuable time, ideas and knowledge which is shared throughout the week and making this event a great success. Thank you one and all on behalf of Karnataka State Akkamahadevi Women's University, Vijaypura, and on my personal behalf, I thank you all. I'd like to thank the Organizing Secretary and Chairperson of Department of Food Processing and Nutrition, Dr. Renuka Meti, for her continual support and guidance provided to us throughout the event. Thank you, ma'am. I'd like to thank the co-convener, Dr. Prashant S.J., Associate Professor, Dr. Savita Hulmani, Assistant Professor, and Dr. Natraj A. Durganavar, Assistant Professor, and all the non-teaching staff of Department of Food Processing and Nutrition for their cooperation extended to make this event a great success. I take this opportunity to thank the technical support which plays a major role in organizing such events at this pandemic situation. So I thank Mr. Sandeep, Assistant Professor, Department of Journalism and Mass Communication, for his enormous help extended to us in making this event a success, and Dr. Rohini A. Bhusnurmat, ICT Coordinator and Assistant Professor of Computer Science Department, for the technical support. I would like to thank the genuine benefiters of this event, all the participants who have attended and participated actively in making this webinar a great success. Thank you once again, and thank you all. This ends the 1-week webinar series on nutrition during all ages during COVID-19 pandemic. Kindly fill the quiz and feedback form today, which will be sent to Telegram group for the registered participants. E-certificates will be sent to the registered participants very soon. Thank you once again for gracing this occasion with your virtual presence here. Have a nice day ahead. Thank you.